All right, we're gonna dig into some Sheila Gunn Reid telling us about Jagmeet Singh, apparently. So here we go.
Oh, hi, Sheila Gunn Reid for Rebel News, and I'm bringing you some very breaking, very important news.
Very breaking
I think
and very
Jagmeet
important.
Singh, the federal NDP leader, might be a white supremacist anti-masker. I know you're thinking, Sheila, that's crazy, but you just heard him say it. He just said that there's a strong link between not following the minutiae of the ever-changing public health orders and the far right, and not caring about all the people around you.
Yes, I do think that there is an connection with people who aren't wearing a mask or who aren't following public health guidance and the extreme right, and the idea that folks in the extreme right don't care about people around them, aren't concerned about the safety and well-being of people.
Video loading for you on Discord.
Sorry, what was that?
I was trying to ask Elrond if the video is loading because I can't get it to. It's not like showing up for me on Discord.
On Discord? Seems to be
Yeah.
projecting on my end.
It's just like not loading. Like it's showing that you're sharing your screen, but I just can't like.
Maybe I'll stop it and reshare. One second.
It had just loaded when you clicked, and
Is it showing now?
yep. Okay, there we go.
Nice. I don't know. Did you hear some of it, or was it?
No, it was completely
Okay, well, all you missed
present.
is basically she claims that Jagmeet Singh, Sheila Gunn Reid claims that Jagmeet Singh is a white nationalist because, as she put it, he said that white nationalists don't obey the COVID rules. And we've watched part of this clip. Well, let's hear Stingh's words again. Because I think he could have been a little bit more careful than he is here, or a little bit more precise. I think he leaves it a bit too broad, but we can get to that in a second. So this is why we haven't yet got to what he did to break the rules, but she's claiming that because he broke the rules, apparently, he's officially a white nationalist based on some past statements that he has made.
You.
Yes, I do think that there is an connection with people who aren't wearing a mask or who aren't following public health guidance and the extreme right, and the idea that folks in the extreme right don't care about people around them, aren't concerned about the safety and well-being of people. It's a selfishness where personal interest takes over from a community protection and interest, and we're seeing that is a trend with the extreme right.
Those are his words.
So the only thing that I would say there that he sort of misstated or was too broad was sort of like hinting that anyone who doesn't follow these guidelines is could possibly be a white nationalist. But I think, at least the way I would put it, is the sort of more activist base of the anti-lockdown, anti-mask movement that shows up in these cities and does marches and protests all this shit. They definitely have ties to white nationalists and the far right. Where, like, I don't know, a lot of my I know a few hippie friends of mine that I grew up with that I would put in the camp of definitely being anti-mask and maybe anti-germ theory of disease, but I have definitely not reached the stage of white nationalism yet, and hopefully never.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. We know how that rabbit hole can sometimes work, though, but they're, at least the ones that I know, are not there yet. And so, but I mean, like, there's also the we're going to get to it of what he actually did, so I guess we'll go there first. But apparently, he has broken the lockdown rules, so we're going to see what that is.
Not mine, and I don't make the rules, but if you don't follow the mask rules, neo-Nazi, I guess. Well, looky here in global news. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh apologizes after video shows him breaking COVID-19 rules. Let's keep reading.
I guess what do we think that Jagmeet's gonna do here? It's gonna
kiss that man right on the mouth.
I wish. Okay, I'm frozen again. Okay, I see what's gonna happen. I guess it's gonna freeze me and then just restart. Better than me having to do it myself every time.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is apologizing after a video obtained by Global News shows him breaking COVID-19 restrictions and spending some unmasked time in close quarters with an individual who is not from his household. Obviously, he doesn't care about people, right? That's how this works. Let's keep reading. The footage, which the party confirmed seems legitimate, shows Singh exiting a car with Taranveer Dhaliwal, who works as an executive assistant for Singh's brother Guritan, a provincial NDP MPP. For shame, but friends, here's the real kick.
So, I guess that's technically breaking the COVID restrictions because this dude's not a part of Singh's household. But part of me, I mean, this is where things get a little bit weird because, I mean, Singh is a politician. It has to be going around. I guess they could have both masked up in the car. But at that point, at that close proximity, I'm not sure that masks are going to be the issue. You know what I mean? If you're in a car side by side with someone. But I guess they hugged. But, like, I don't know. Like, maybe... I don't know to what extent he is or is not always in their household or whatever. Or whether or not... Because I'm sure that Singh, being one of the leaders of an opposition party in Canada, probably has staff that he spends a lot of time with. I don't know. I don't know what the... I wonder what your thoughts are, Viet. Or whether... to what degree you're like...
How
shame.
vaccinated are the party leaders, I wonder?
Yeah, that too, actually. I'm pretty sure he has... I'm sure if I search into Twitter, Jagmeet Singh vaccine or something, it's going to come up. Because he is someone that, like, I would imagine showed off the fact that they got vaccinated. Yeah, oh, look at that. Received the first dose April 24th. I don't know if they've received their second dose, though.
Okay.
I guess I could show it for
Yeah,
the
that...
stream people. Oh, look at this. Look at him being vaccinated. Look at that. Oh, right in the arm. And so, I mean, I guess that
I also kind of
matters.
wonder... Yeah. I also kind of wonder where this was.
My guess is Ottawa?
This is kind of...
Or is
See, because, like, why...
Or is it BC?
Because, like... Well, Guritan Singh is in Brampton.
Okay,
Isn't he?
yeah. So it could be Ottawa or
That's
Toronto.
kind of why... Yeah. Also, I'm disappointed to see that Jagmeet Singh lives in such a suburban-looking house. Looks like shit, dude. Please get well soon.
Well, we don't know if, like, is that his home or that wasn't even clear to me, or if it could be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know things. And part of me is like, yeah, it's probably not a good look. Maybe as a politician, you should be signaling wearing a mask, all that fun shit. But at the same time, this feels like such a nothing gotcha, you know?
Kicker.
Yeah, no, like, it's... That's why I'm talking about other shit, is because it's just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like... They were in a car together.
I know.
And they're getting out, and he's not wearing a mask. So...
And
hugging isn't gonna, like, make things worse.
And I've stated this on the show, or at least our podcast, I think. I don't know if I've ever been explicit about it here, but I mean, like, we all make judgments. We've made judgments throughout this pandemic about what we feel comfortable with or what's coming too close to the line, or, you know what I mean? Like, those are decisions that I think everyone has had to, like, come into contact with throughout this pandemic. And so and there's times where it's like, it's, you know what it reminds me of? It's like, remember the LTBO video we watched where, like, David Menzies really wanted his scotch, right? And then he complained, like, he was harassing them. And then there was the one moment where you had 3 people in the office, right? And it's like, okay, that breaks their 2-person in the office rule. But I'm sure, like, the reason why it got to that level was because, like, other intervening facts, like the fact that, like, a harassment thing was going on right now, you know? It's like, maybe if that wasn't going on, it wouldn't have gotten to the stage where they broke that rule or something, right? Where it's like, I don't know what the importance of these two people needing to drive together, or whether it was important or not important. But like sometimes work circumstances are going to come up, and you're probably going to be faced with a decision of, well, should we just do this? Well, we've already been in contact here, and you might like adjudicate things between yourselves and bend the rules a little. And the thing is, like, that's also why like I've been against the over policing here. Like I've even been kind of cautious with how we talk about whether or not the police should crack down on like anti-lockdown protests, for the same reason that I'm against policing generally. But there's a difference, I think, between people who are being running in basically harassing people, like running in the streets, talking to people without socially distancing, without their mask on, and yelling at them, and like these kind of instances, right? Like, I don't think those are the same thing. And I wish that, and I appreciate the fact that the police are not going to be handing out tickets for every single person that breaks a COVID bylaw. Because it should, like, the goal isn't to, like, punish people. This all, like, friggin' sucks. The goal is just to, like, I think in the back of, like, their minds is, like, to have some sort of incentive there for people to stay in line. But then at the end of the day, it's like, of course the police are aware that people are going to, or like everyone is aware that like there's going to be blurrier or instances in which you make a choice, but does it break the rule? Does it not? It's kind of in this like gray area kind of thing, right? So I don't know.
Neither Singh nor Dhaliwal were wearing masks, and the two share a hug before walking away together. Guys, white supremacy is really pernicious, and apparently
I mean, this whole
it
like
takes all
analogy thing
forms.
to make it about
The
white
absolute
supremacy is
gall
so
of
silly,
this
too.
guy, maliciously shaming and labeling good people who just don't want to wear a mask anymore and who want to go back to their normal lives.
The idea of not following public health guidelines and
This
not
goes
wanting to
somewhere
do
else, I
their
think,
part
for
to
the last,
stop the
like,
spread of
minute.
an infection is very much in line with this extreme right-wing ideology of not caring about people, not supporting the people around you.
I mean, because it's that point I think that he's making that actually is true, right? Because every time we see with the anti-lockdown protests, are like Chris Sky like yelling in someone's face, right? Which like for everyone knows, like I mean, like Chris Sky is you said before stream he now has a warrant out for his arrest in Manitoba. He's been jailed for making death threats against Doug Ford and other people. Kevin Johnston in Alberta, who's running for mayor of Calgary, has broken the law a bunch of times and is now in jail. Was recent, I think 5 minutes ago, it came out that he was denied bail. So, and those people are, they have definite anti-Semitic and white nationalist positions. So I don't think Jagmeet is wrong necessarily in his assessment.
Yeah, and like,
And it is
Sorry.
I don't know, NDP messaging kind of always leaves something to be desired because they're a disappointing party for the most part. But like this, it was also the only party, like he was the only party leader making this sort of correct statement still. And even if it was inadequate and like not perfectly worded,
I mean,
it's that thing that the NDP does best, which is the bare minimum of being decent.
well, here it's like the wording issue that I brought up at the beginning, and that I think it was just a bit too broad. I mean, I could toss that up to just like being in the moment, because I don't think this is a scripted moment. It looks like he's answering questions, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like on that case, it's like, I don't speak perfectly all the time, especially doing the live streams, can't really edit it. Shit's coming out of my mouth. It's never going to be perfect. And like, you just got to live with that fact, right? But I mean, what's annoying is how then like Rebel will swoop in and like take their thing and like hyper focus, or like get so fixated on what he's saying when I could tell by context clues what he means. He's talking about like the Chris Skies of the world. He's not talking about person who just has some weird philosophical belief that doesn't want to wear a mask. But I do think like aside from like whether like these are just words, is he doing enough, all this kind of issues that we might have with Jagmeet Singh, I do think his like the point about right-wing selfishness, I think, is spot on, right? It's this pro-individualistic, I should be able to like not wear my mask because it's all about me. And like, why don't you get vaccinated? I don't have to get vaccinated. No consideration to herd immunity, right? Like this is I do share what Jugmeet is saying here about the nature of right-wing people and how they think about community as a whole. I think that is very spot on. Sounded like you were going to say something. I heard your slight hiss as your microphone.
Yeah. Oh, no, I just said, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
It's dangerous and it's hurtful.
As something so disgusting as far white supremacists who don't care about their community. All the while, he goes about his life out of the public gaze, not following the rules either. Ugh, these people are just
Quite obviously
so gross.
not
And for
out of the
good
public
measure,
gaze.
earlier this year, Jagmeet Singh kicked Nikki Ashton out of her role as a critic in the party because she traveled during the pandemic to visit her ailing grandmother, which I would be fine with her doing, except for the fact that she too called on stricter lockdowns for the rest of us who do that sort of thing. Well, Mr. Singh, it's time to Nikki Ashton yourself. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid.
So full disclosure, I voted I voted for Nikki Ashton during the leadership debate, or
Yeah, exactly.
so I side with her over Jagmeet Singh, but at the same time, like I feel fuck the Rebel News, yes, fuck the Rebel News indeed, but I feel I don't know, it's hard for me to to put this. I mean, like Nikki Ashton made a choice, and it was a difficult choice for her to make, which is that you had a relative in another country who was dying, and this was the last opportunity for them to see them before they died. And even though it was a global pandemic and there were these lockdowns in place, she made a choice. And to the extent that it hurt her politically, I kind of feel bad for it because, like, I respect her politics and respect her as a politician. But she's still an MP. I think most is she got kicked out of certain like cabinet positions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she got removed from her shadow cabinet position.
And part of that
Um,
could be like an attempt by Singh, who sees probably Nikki as competition. It's a way of like hurting her, I think, to a certain extent. But at the same time, it's like I don't know if that's what she did is at the beginning of the pandemic during like one of the first lockdowns is comparable to what Singh's doing here. Even though it's like I don't know, I don't know if I would have kicked her out of shadow cabinet either if I was the one in charge of the party.
yeah, and honestly, like, I wouldn't even put it down to so much as like them removing Nikki as a potential rival, so much as like putting the left flank of the NDP in its place by like just like slowly eroding all of its members as much as they can. But also, I would like Jagmeet Singh to Nikki Ashton himself in the sense of become cool.
Yes, indeed. I would agree. Move more to the left, Jagmeet. I would also appreciate.
Yeah.
What a weird verbing. Nikki Ashton yourself. So, like even then it seems kind of weird. Like what does she want? Does she want so who's gonna like why does she care about the leadership function of the NDP is what I'm getting at here. You know what I mean? Like say Jagmeet goes away, we just get another left-wing person as much as Jagmeet is more left than all the other political parties, right? We just get another version of that in charge so they can hate that person. Like I don't I don't see why this like matters at all to Rebel News, you know? Singh is trying
Because
to
he
destroy both
called
of us and the NDP. Sorry, go on. My bad.
NDP should be run by a good person like Mulcair.
I hate Mulcair. Jesus. I still voted
God,
for
that guy
him.
was a
That was one of my
shithead.
worst votes. I still remember. You know what's you know what the funny thing is, and this is like blasphemy for a lot of the people within the NDP, but I was never a huge fan of Jack Layton. I voted for him as well because, again, in Canada, who the hell else am I going to vote for, right? But the one thing that always sort of like stuck with me is when he died, I was camping with my then girlfriend, now wife, and the rangers of the park drove to each campsite and notified each person that he had passed away. And I thought, like, to me, that really hit me of like, whoa, like, this guy was seen as like a unique Canadian figure that a lot of people looked up to, which was very interesting. Even though I also think he wasn't as left enough. They're never going to be left enough for me.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.